What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sofia, and for today's video we will be talking about how to stay productive. I'm not talking about a bunch of tasks that you're supposed to do like eat your breakfast or wake up a certain time. I'm talking about how I keep a productive mindset and how I motivate myself to be productive most of the time. And while we're doing that, I'm also gonna bring you along with me as I start my new bullet journal. If you don't know what a bullet journal means, it's kind of like a DIY planner where you have yourself a notebook and you draw out a bunch of calendars and list down a bunch of tasks. And some of you might be interested, so here are the stuff that I use. I have a bunch of rulers, different pens, and highlighters. And if you want to know, my notebook is from the brand Limelight, and it's actually a blank notebook. So it doesn't have any dots on it or lines, and that's why I have to use a bunch of rulers and hope for the best that my writing doesn't get all crooked. Anyway, let's get right into it. So starting off with my bullet journal, the first page that I have on here is my title page, of course, and it just says second half of 2020. And yes, I do start my planners or my bullet journal in the middle of the year, and that's because I want to start it before my school year starts. That's a lot of starts, but you get the point. Nothing motivates me more to be productive than getting myself a planner. So that is my productive tip number one. It is to start planning your days. One thing that I figured out during the quarantine is how easy it is to get overwhelmed, especially when you do everything at home. So all your responsibilities for school, your personal life, or your work gets jammed together, and that's when you realize how hard it is to remember each specific task that you're supposed to do on your day. I don't think we realize how tiring it is to have responsibilities and then have to memorize them and not forget about them. That's kind of additional work for your brain. So to relieve myself from that, I just give myself a physical copy or a planner, a bullet journal, or even just using my phone like with the Notes app. That way, you're not giving yourself an additional responsibility of remembering all your responsibilities and just putting them on paper. So next page, I have my yearly overview. So this is where I keep all the calendars for 2020 to 2021. And it's also a space for me to write down special events, project deadlines, or even just my goals and when I plan to achieve them. Which brings me to my productive tip number two, which is to know your goals. And I'm not talking about the big ones like finish your college or get your dream job. I'm talking about the weekly, monthly, and the daily goals that you have. It's almost always easier to know what you're doing, especially when you know what you're doing it for. When I'm applying this to me as a student, the goal becomes to get a good grade. And when I'm given a project, I always try my best to know how much percent it actually contributes to me getting that good grade. For example, a project can cost 50% of my grade. The moment I know and I understand how much that actually contributes to my goal, I officially feel more motivated. And when I'm more motivated, I'm more productive. So in other words, wala namang gaganahan kung hindi nila alam kung ano yung purpose ng ginagawa nila. So always give yourself purpose, and you do that by having goals. So this is how that page looks like when I fill it out. I just circle with my highlighter the special dates that I have. So the red ones are for birthdays, the blue ones are for holidays, and the yellow ones are for school stuff. So moving on to the next page, we have my class schedule, which also brings me to my productive tip number 3. Give yourself a strict schedule or a strict routine to follow every day. One thing that I lost during the quarantine is the routine that comes with having to go to school. Before being stuck at home, I would know what time I should wake up, what time I should eat, what time I go home and get rest and all of that. And when all of that was taken away from me, I had so much liberty that makes it easier for me to just fall into a deep hole of laziness. It's always easier to know what to do next, and I'm the type of person that is keen for getting instructions because I always want to know what I have to do. Getting a routine gives you exactly that. Also, when you give yourself a schedule or a routine beforehand or the night before, you no longer waste your time deciding what to do on the next day. Doing this allows you to have more control over what you spend time on, and also it helps avoid the feeling of being lost in the middle of the day kasi hindi mo alam kung ano yung dapat mong gawin. So this is what that page looks like after. It's very colorful, and over here I just have the name of my classes, and then when I finally know who my professors are, I'll just put them below. So moving on to the next page, I just have my quote page and then my monthly calendar for the month of August. Quote says per aspera ad astra, and that actually means through hardships to the stars, which kind of reminds me that I have to work hard if I want to achieve something. But I just want to remind you guys, this is my productive tip number 4. It is also important to give yourself the rest that you deserve. Productivity is not forever and everyone gets tired. It's kind of like the same for artists who get creative block. When someone gets creative block, you don't advise them to just force themselves to be creative. You advise them to rest and let the creativity just get back to them eventually. And this is the same with productivity. When you no longer feel productive, you stop what you're doing and rest. And I don't think anyone will produce good quality outputs or projects or whatever when they're forced to be productive. You have to let the productivity come to you instead of you forcing it to happen. But I do know that a lot of people, me too sometimes, that we don't feel like we have time to rest. And that is why planning is so important. As I mentioned, is because when you plan when your rest days will be, you can delegate the tasks that's supposed to be for that day to other days, and that way you don't forget about them and you don't leave them behind. Not forcing your productivity also comes with the fact that you have to use the times that you do feel productive to its best maximum potential. When you feel motivated or productive, just use that advantage to do as much tasks as you can, so that way you get more time for yourself at the end. So moving on to the last page of my journal, I know I've been talking a lot, but last na to, promise. I have my weekly layout. So this is the page where I give each day a space for me to write out whatever I want from to-do lists and random notes. I also keep track of what I eat, what time I sleep, and how I'm feeling. Then I also have a place for me to track my money, and this is where I put how much I earn, how much I spend, and all of that stuff. It brings us to my productive tip number 5. Nothing motivates me more to be productive than knowing that I get to earn something from it. This doesn't have to be about money, but it can be. I was actually super motivated to clean out my closet because I knew that I was going to sell some of my stuff afterwards, meaning that I get to earn money when I clean my closet. It's so easy to sell stuff online right now, so I definitely recommend that. But when we're not talking about money, you can reward yourself by giving yourself longer break times or food when you're studying. It's natural for us to want to get something out of our hard work, and when you give yourself that something, no matter how small it is, it can definitely push you to be more productive, work faster, and work more efficiently. That is it for today's video. Just a little recap. Here are the things that I do to keep myself productive. That is planning, setting goals, giving myself a schedule or a routine, giving myself a break, and also giving myself rewards. Thank you so much for watching my video. And yes, siningit ko lang talaga yung bullet journal ko because this is one of my biggest hobbies and I want to make more videos about it soon. So if you're interested in that, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I make beauty and lifestyle videos every week, and since I'm almost going back to school, I will be making more school-related videos. See you soon, I guess. Bye-bye.
1, 2, 3, funky. My darling, I love you.